What if it were revealed to you that the more intensely you pursue her, the quicker she retreats? What if the true method for her to miss you lies not within your spoken words, your written texts, or your frantic efforts to mend what is already fractured, but rather in your total, absolute non-presence? Consider this: when a woman withdraws, the majority of men experience panic. They might plead, they might weep, they excessively analyze each moment of quiet, as if it were a critical, life-threatening scenario. However, the Stoic man, an individual shaped by self-discipline and fortitude, does not pursue that which elects to depart. He transforms into a spectral presence, not the sort that vanishes consumed by bitterness or a desire for vengeance, but one that evolves amidst silence and detachment. And he reconstructs, and without uttering a single syllable, he renders himself indelible. This endeavor is not solely about inducing her to miss you, it is about compelling her to regret your absence. It concerns a transformation of energy, becoming someone she can no longer access, not on a physical level, not on an emotional one, nor mentally, because you are no longer the identical man from whom she departed. You have elevated. And presently, now you possess the authority. Within this video, we are delving profoundly into core dynamics, rooted in Stoicism and honed by dark psychology. You will acquire the knowledge to cease hemorrhaging energy, to utilize silence as a weapon, and to transmute heartbreak into unadulterated dominance. If you are prepared to cease being the haunted and instead become the haunter, let us commence. Should you be finished with feeling disempowered, if your readiness to alter the energy is established, engage that like button, subscribe, enable notifications, and comment beneath. I relinquish that which I cannot command. Number 1. Silence is a weapon. A reaction is what she anticipates. Drama is what she desires. She seeks assurance that she still holds significance, that your words, your actions, her choice to depart, have indeed affected you. She awaits the notification, that singular final message wherein you bare your soul, wherein you confess your inability to eat, to sleep, to think coherently in her absence, that you are disintegrating, that her power over you persists. Yet, you offer her naught, no calls, no texts, no updates, not even a cryptic social media post declaring, "I am fine." Merely silence. And abruptly, you transform into the most resonant voice in the vicinity. Weakness is not what silence represents. Avoidance it is not. Strategy is what it is. Upon going silent, you are not fleeing, access is what you are revoking. Her, you are not punishing. Your energy is what you are safeguarding. Ghosting, you are not. You are permitting her to reside in the void of her own making. When they perceive abandonment, most men become clamorous. They implore. They negotiate. They endeavor to compel closure as if it were an entitlement owed to them. Yet, the truth is this: your worth to her, she has already determined. Now, allow her to experience the repercussions of that determination, unimpeded. Because discomfort is what silence engenders in people, particularly when chaos was anticipated. Louder than any desperate words ever could be, your tranquil presence becomes. Your social media, she will begin to scrutinize. Mutual acquaintances, she will consult. What is transpiring? If you have moved on, she will ponder. The reason? Because the unknown is what you now represent. And in the realm of dark psychology, magnetism is a quality of the unknown. That which we cannot decipher, we pursue. That which eludes our grasp, we covet. In silence, it works. Plead, it does not. Hunt, it does. Thus, no, an explanation of yourself is not required. For someone who released you, a fight is not necessary. You merely need to disappear, your self-respect preserved, and permit the silence to articulate. Because in the battle for attention, the individual who utters less wields the greatest power. Should you be finished with self-explanation, if your readiness to communicate via silence is confirmed, engage that like button, subscribe, enable notifications, and comment beneath, "My silence is my power." Number 2, stop romanticizing pain. Her, you miss. That is authentic. Heavy is the heartbreak. Long are the nights. Your mind replays the good times, akin to a damaged record, omitting the segments where she withdrew, where smallness was made your feeling, where distance was her choice. Yet, rather than healing, in it you dwell. It, you nurture. Like a badge, the pain you wear. As if it were some tragic romance, you romanticize it. Yet, the truth is this: love, pain is not. Proof that your connection was profound, pain is not. Pain is the outcome when your worth is placed in another's hands, and by them, it is dropped. In his wounds, the Stoic does not submerge them, he scrutinizes. He learns. He adapts. The flames of self-pity, he does not fuel, because he comprehends that progress is not forged by men who wallow, it is shaped by men who ascend. Dark psychology reveals this too: to strength, not suffering, are people drawn. If, upon checking in, she observes you spiraling, justified she feels. But if growth, peace, silence she perceives, that is when regret initiates. That is when from what she departed, she questions. A mournful poem or a fractured song lyric, you are not destined to be. A fortress, you are meant to become, the sort of man who experiences the pain, yet does not permit it his definition. You, let it fuel, not conclude. Therefore, cease clinging to pain as if it were evidence of greater love for her. Cease employing sadness as a conduit to perceive depth. True strength lies in advancing, even when every fiber of your being desires retreat. Should you be finished with drowning in recollections, if your readiness to transmute pain into power is established, engage that like button, subscribe, enable notifications, and comment beneath, "My strength is greater than my sorrow." Number 3, detach to win. The more intensely you chase her, the more rapidly she eludes you. That isn't merely poetic, it's a biological reality. What is readily accessible, human beings do not value, particularly within relationships. The individual less emotionally invested wields the power. That is the stark reality. And still, most men, when injured, do precisely the reverse. They intensify their efforts, they confess further, they fixate. Emotionally loyal they remain to a person already emotionally departed. But better is what the Stoic knows. Especially, detachment is not love's absence, it is self-respect's presence. It is knowing that if your life someone can exit, to the memory of their presence you do not bind yourself. Your God, you do not make them. Your peace, you do not relinquish merely to ensure their comfort. Strategy is detachment. Survival it is. Strength it is. And paradoxically, the sole factor that ever compels their return, it is. Because when someone, you cease to need, their value transforms. When around them your world no longer orbits, in their eyes you become something novel, a loss unheeded, something beyond their control. This, dark psychology substantiates. Validation from those who deny it, people crave. When back you pull, rare you become. When you detach, distance you create. And desire, distance cultivates. Curiosity, it ignites. It makes her question if, in truth, you ever needed her at all, or if her hold on you she merely imagined. You win, not by clinging tighter, but by releasing without a wince. You detach, not from acrimony, but because for sale your soul is not. The fantasy, you cease to feed. The loss, you accept. And in so doing, unforgettable you become. Should you be finished with clinging to phantoms, if your readiness to release with dignity is present, engage that like button, subscribe, enable notifications, and comment beneath. Detachment is my discipline. Number 4, rebuild without her. A void, she left. That is undeniable. Perhaps your confidence, she took with her. Perhaps your routines disintegrated. Your ambition vanished, your foresight blurred. That is heartbreak. Like a destructive force, it strikes. But here is the element most men overlook: what in heartbreak is demolished, can be reconstructed. And not merely rebuilt stronger, keener, wiser. The Stoic does not linger in the debris, lamenting what has fallen. Bricks, he begins to lay, quietly, unyieldingly. The gym, he frequents. His mind, he hones. Goals, he establishes, not for her impressment, but for evolution beyond her. Because once from your life someone departs, nothing you owe them. Not your sorrow, not your allegiance, not your collapse. The energy of heartbreak, use as fuel. Into someone you would not even have recognized a year prior, let the pain mold you, the type of man who, to feel valuable, validated, or seen, no longer requires her. Because here is the turn: when to show her what she forfeited you cease trying, and to become someone you gained you begin, everything alters. This is attraction's darker aspect. By transformation, people are captivated. Regret they experience when what you became without them, they witness. And the fact that for their comfort you did not remain broken, they detest. So, build in silence, with fervor. The loudest response, let your life be. And when she returns, and returns she will ensure the man you've become, she cannot recognize. Because for her, you did not evolve, for you evolved. Should you be finished with breaking for individuals who departed, if your readiness to rebuild without apology is confirmed, engage that like button, subscribe, enable notifications, and comment beneath. I rise in silence. Number 5, cut the supply. She isn't initiating contact, yet still she observes, liking your posts, replying to your stories, dispatching ambiguous signals, leaving the door ajar just sufficiently so you don't entirely move forward. And you persist in feeding her. Attention, validation, energy you provide, hoping she will discern what she has lost. Desist. A currency is attention. And the instant she withdrew, earning it she ceased. But every like, every just checking in text, every emotional crumb you dispense is fuel, fuel for her ego, fuel for her comfort, fuel for her conviction that she can depart and still retain access to your energy. Half measures, the Stoic man does not entertain. Doors halfway open, he does not keep. This fundamental truth, he comprehends: what you permit, you sanction. When energy you continue to give to someone no longer in your life, self-betrayal you are choosing. Into a fractured cup, you are pouring water. The supply, cut, not to manipulate, not to penalize, but you to protect. Your presence, you do not owe to someone who treated it as a mere convenience. To yourself, you owe it to reserve your energy for individuals who appear fully, not with half-heartedness. Dark psychology makes it straightforward: what they cannot attain, people desire. And when the energy ceases its flow, curiosity begins to burgeon. Where you went, they will wonder, why you are quiet, why the man who once orbited them has vanished. But vanish, you did not. Your focus, you merely redirected back to yourself. Should you be finished with feeding what does not nourish you, if your readiness to reclaim your value is present, engage that like button, subscribe, enable notifications, and comment beneath. My attention is earned, not given. Number 6. Master emotional control. Access to your emotions, she once possessed, like a remote device. A button pushed, and react you would. A cold text, a tardy response, or even silence from her could dispatch you into a spiral. You would overanalyze, question your own worth, formulate the ideal reply, merely to elicit something from her once more. But love, no. That eviction is complete. Yet his emotions, the Stoic does not surrender. Like a fortress, he guards them. The supreme form of strength, he knows, is not in your volume, but in your capacity for calm. When emotional control you master, unpredictable you become. And in a world that thrives on reactions, power is unpredictability. The emotional torrent, she anticipates. For you to care audibly, she expects. But when reacting you cease, when her coldness is met with warmth, not for her, but for yourself, that disrupts everything. Abruptly, where she stands, she is uncertain. Because the ultimate reversal is emotional control. The power dynamic, it shifts, without a word from you. Dark psychology demonstrates that the individual who commands the frame, commands the result. If you, she triggers, you, she possesses. But if centered you remain, if your peace intact persists, regardless of what she does or doesn't do, yourself you possess. And untouchable, that makes you. Suppression, control is not about. Redirection, it is about. Everything, you feel, but your response, you choose. And that choice is your armament. Because the man who can stay calm amidst chaos becomes unforgettable. Should you be finished with being emotionally commandeered, if your readiness to own your reactions is confirmed, engage that like button, subscribe, enable notifications, and comment beneath. I control the frame. Number 7. Become unreachable. Where to locate you, she knew. Always there, you were. Swift reply, emotional accessibility, attention readily available. Easy, predictable, safe, you made it. But desire, predictable does not foster. Comfort, it fosters. Complacency, comfort breeds. Now, where she abandoned you, you are not. Physically, the Stoic man does not merely vanish. Emotionally and mentally unreachable, he becomes. In silence, he elevates. A life so full, so focused, so uplifted, he constructs, that how to reach him anymore, she wouldn't even comprehend, not due to his concealment, but because the map, she no longer possesses. When unavailable you become, desirable you become. Attraction's paradox, it is. What they cannot secure, people pursue. When constantly online you are, always observing her stories, still commenting, still liking, that she still possesses you, she knows. No mystery exists, no distance, no yearning. But when out there living, growing, winning without her you are seen, and doing so unannounced, deafening that silence becomes. Haunting, that absence becomes. It makes her ponder. And where the missing commences, wonder is. This, dark psychology affirms, scarcity generates value. The less accessible you prove, the more significance to your presence people attribute. Be difficult to reach, not to engage in games, but because your life necessitates your complete attention, because something real you are building, because from being available to being valuable, you have transitioned. Should you be finished with being her contingency plan, if your readiness to become an enigma she cannot decipher is present, engage that like button, subscribe, enable notifications, and comment beneath. My absence speaks volumes. Number 8. Don't prove your worth. Show it. When she departed, something within you ignited, this compulsion to prove, to demonstrate to her you were sufficient, to post, to display, to inadvertently allow her to see what she forfeited. Yet, here is the reality: the instant your worth you attempt to prove, that you disbelieve in it, you are conceding. To be seen, the Stoic does not beg. His value, he does not articulate. Undeniable, he becomes. And the sole method to achieve that is evolution, quiet, relentless, solo evolution. No declarations, no revenge body captions, no posts striving for her attention. Merely cold, focused growth. Dark psychology makes it explicit: those who do not solicit their approval, people respect. When to impress her you cease trying, the dynamic you invert. The standard, you become, not the supplicant. Validation, you cease to require, and like a man who precisely knows his identity and what he contributes, you begin to move. Your life, let it speak. Your results, let them speak. Your new silence, your new radiance, your new focus, let them speak. Because when doing well she observes you, and not attempting to show her, that is when the regret strikes most acutely. That is when that you are not even on her radar anymore. She realizes. This is not about proving anything to her, it is about demonstrating everything to yourself, that broken you were never, merely momentarily diverted. Should you be finished with seeking validation, if your readiness to move as if you know your worth is confirmed, engage that like button, subscribe, enable notifications, and comment beneath. I prove nothing. I become everything. Number 9. Let her regret you in silence. To rub it in, you do not have to. That look at me now text, you do not need to send. A quote on your story clearly directed at her, you do not need to drop. Strength, that is not. Insecurity disguised as bravado, it is. If losing you she is going to regret, and believe me, if the path thus far you have followed, she will, with that regret alone, let her sit. Closure, the Stoic does not pursue. The closure, he is. With calm eyes and a quiet fire, he walks away, because he knows that true power is walking past what attempted to break you, without a backward glance. Your absence, let her feel, not through petty acts, but through peace. What she lost, let her realize, not because her you told, but because your life without her is superior to how it ever was with her. Dark psychology is merciless in its simplicity. The more your reaction, the less your power. But when with nothing you respond, a vacuum that creates, a silence so weighty it shatters her illusion of control. If to you she ever mattered, she will wonder. In her own mind, she will spiral. There, regret is born, not from your utterances, but from her thoughts, her uncertainties, her gradual realization that the man she abandoned no longer exists. You, let her regret, but in silence let it echo. Through your life, let it grow, and the distance let her feel. With the version of you she will never reclaim, let her sit. Should you be finished with trying to make her see, if your readiness to let your absence impart the lesson is present, engage that like button, subscribe, enable notifications, and comment beneath. I let silence do the talking. Number 10. the ghost she can't touch. Everything, you have done. Silent, you have gone. Detached, you have. Rebuilt, you have. Beyond recognition, you have leveled up. And now you are not merely gone, untouchable, you are. The ghost she cannot reach, you have become, because in the world she once knew, you no longer exist. To circle back, she might attempt. The waters, she might test, a random message, a late night hey. But the man who once would drop everything merely to feel proximity to her, she will not find. Gone, that man is. What in his place stands is calm, focused, stoic grit, perhaps, but stronger for it. Out of bitterness, you do not block her. Out of spite, you do not move on. Because past the need for her validation you have elevated, you do it. A man who does not chase, who to feel significant does not need to be seen, a man who commands attention without even exerting effort because too busy building, thriving, living he is, you have become. Dark psychology terms it unavailable allure, the energy of someone just beyond reach, and whose silence speaks more profoundly than presence ever could. For her, you are no longer posting, that she watches, no longer hoping. The mystery she cannot solve, you have become, the peace she cannot disturb, the echo that persists long after her departure. Bitter, you are not. Better, you are. Hiding, you are not. To a level she cannot access, you have merely advanced. And now you are the one haunting her. Should you be finished with chasing, if your readiness to become the ghost she cannot touch is confirmed, engage that like button, subscribe, enable notifications, and comment beneath, I am the one who got away. So, now you comprehend. Games, this is not about. Revenge, it is not about. Rebirth, it is about. Every man who by love has ever been broken faces a decision, in the shadows of what was, remain stagnant, or rise, silent and focused, into what could be. Silence over chaos, you chose, discipline over desperation, power over pain. And dangerous, in the most favorable way, that makes you. Remember, the man who can depart, who his emotions can control, who does not chase, does not flinch, does not yield under pressure, becomes unforgettable. Her, you did not lose. Access to a version of you that no longer exists, she lost. And now you are not merely missed, haunting, you are. This is Stoic blessing. And you are not broken, becoming untouchable, you are. If you found this video helpful and empowering, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more insights on personal growth, Stoicism, and building a disciplined life. Hit the notification bell so you never miss a new video. Keep going, keep growing, and keep practicing your discipline. It's worth every effort. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.